You're going to have to let me know as soon as you possibly can how the Wi-Fi is doing here. This is vacation edition, and I don't know that I necessarily trust the Wi-Fi here. So if it's not great, be honest with me, shoot me straight. We'll cut it short. We'll record via this contraption right here, and we will pre-record, download, and then upload and export in a different way. So let's get a mic check and an audio check. Make sure the latency is okay. The download, upload speed is okay. Y'all tell me what. Be honest with me right now. This is nuts. No question about it. Taco. Okay, so sounds like we're good for right now. All right, I know relative to my normal situation, not gonna amount to that, right? But we just gotta adjust expectations. As long as y'all can hear me, I really don't care about the audio or the video. If the audio is good, we're good, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got confirmation from a couple different outlets. Sounds like we're good. All right, so Maxx Crosby, medical red flag. Raiders, Ravens trade featuring picks 14 this year, 2026, 14th overall draft pick, a future 2027 first, still to be determined where that selection will be based on the Ravens' performance, obviously. Okay, so Ravens got cold feet, or Maxx Crosby actually has a genuine situation that they don't necessarily trust. First thing to acknowledge, okay, one medical decision, one medical evaluation, one medical personnel member does not, his opinion, he or she is not universal. There's a reason why we have second opinions with anything related to medical, just the health industry in general, right? We always get a second opinion. Okay, so one doctor's opinion does not necessarily mean the others. The Cowboys have obviously a very world-renowned doctor in their own right, Dr. Dan Cooper. There's a very specific reason why I mentioned in the interim, pending his approval, toss them pick 20 and let's go. Take it or leave it, Raiders. They're obviously scrambling right now for a bunch of different reasons. They had the most expensive contract signed. They went out and got Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, ironically. He was a free agent. Okay, they spent a lot of money on him. They spent money on two linebackers that the Cowboys were interested in, and then they also went and acquired Kwity Paye, amongst a couple others, Jalen Naylor, et cetera, et cetera. Here's my thing. Okay, I know what, just before we get any further, I know what Dianna Russini said. I also know what Jane Slater said. Okay, we're going to address that, but just give me a second. My initial response to this situation, okay, we're going to like keep everything else to the side, whatever the contrary reports are, like Jane, Dianna, whoever. Okay, press pause on that for just a second. Just go back in time, okay? You just see the notification. The Raiders, the Ravens, their trade nullified, canceled. All right? Ask yourselves this question. What does this mean for the Cowboys? It means that they were just in on the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes 2 days ago, right? So what this means for the Cowboys, before we know anything else, before we know any other report, before we trust anybody else's opinion, what do we know? We know the Cowboys were interested at pick 12 overall this year, a future second-round draft pick, and or a player on top of that. So conflicting reports on whether or not Oso Odighizuwa was included into that initial offer for them. Let's just say, hypothetically, that he wasn't. Even though there's good reason to believe that he might have been. Positional surplus, you offset some salary there in the process. Okay, we could come to that conclusion. Maybe that does make sense. But forget that for right now. Just assume that it was only pick 12 overall and next year's second-round draft pick. 2 days ago. Why would the Cowboys not be interested right now? That's my question. Why were they interested 2 days ago? Why are they not all of a sudden now? So now let's take it one step further. Okay, considering Dianna and Jane's report now, and just for those who are unaware, let's go ahead and read off what they said specifically. Okay, we're gonna talk this thing through. We're gonna unpack it step by step. Dianna Russini said, the Dallas Cowboys, let me just share the screen with y'all so you can see it. Dallas Cowboys are not expected to re-engage in Maxx Crosby trade discussions at this time, a high-ranking source tells The Athletic. Okay? Dianna Russini. Let's also acknowledge, okay, if you were to go and Google or Twitter search the Lando Show and Russini, you would see some things. Okay? I'm not in the business of defamation. I'm not in the business of trying to elevate myself over others. I'm simply in the business of creatively conveying the sports below the surface truth for the fans like yourselves who deserve to hear the sports below the surface truth. All right? If you Google myself and Slater, you will see some things. Conflicting reports. Okay? Once again, same thing applies here. Not attempting any sort of elevation or defamation whatsoever. All I'm trying to convey here to you, all right, is that we all miss. So now with that out of the way, with that in our rear view, let's take it a step further. They could be reporting the information that they're told 100% accurately. Jane Slater saying, remember, so Russini's report, Cowboys not expected to re-engage in Maxx Crosby trade discussions at this time, a high-ranking source tells The Athletic. Okay, Slater. She says, she replies to that right there. Russini, quote tweets it, whatever you call it, okay? Slater says this. Right here. Can confirm. A team source tells me we moved on with Rashawn Gary, etc. So we have Russini. Let me make myself a little bit bigger here. Actually, I'll just stop sharing this. So we've got Dianna Russini saying the words that are important, okay? Important caveats or important words to include that would protect that report not manifesting in favor of what the initial sentence may or may not suggest, okay? At this time. That's a caveat built in. That's an insurance policy built in to that report, right? Okay, Jane Slater can confirm at this time. Caveat built in. Insurance policy built in. Not saying that they're not telling the truth, simply stating that from the Cowboys' perspective, whichever source that they're talking to, it makes the most sense for them to not tip their hand right now. Don't present yourself as desperate to the Raiders. Why would you do that? Okay, the synopsis and in general, before we include any of these reports, right? One more time for you. What do we initially think? Maxx Crosby's his price tag comes down and the Cowboys' leverage goes up. We agree that that is the case. Everything else be damned. Doesn't matter which insider is reporting what information from X source. Does not matter in this like from this discussion. Taking a step back, backing up, and really evaluating what's happening here, right? Those reports don't matter. What we know from Albert Breer, Mike Garafolo, who initially reported this trade was blocked, is medical red flag. All right, and then on top of that, Maxx Crosby's price tag goes down because of this potential medical red flag. And the Cowboys' leverage goes up. Why does their leverage go up? Well, because they had the most draft capital to entice the Raiders to begin with. We know that they were also in the mix to begin with. They were at one point the favorite 4 days ago, right? So that was 2 days ago when Maxx Crosby signs with the Raiders, with the Ravens. Why are the Cowboys all of a sudden not interested now? Now, here's something else, okay? So let's take everything that we just talked about, and then let's contextualize it from a different perspective, okay? We go to Mike Fisher, okay? So the Cowboys, he says, the NFL's slowest moving front office, at least within their recent historical order of operations, okay? Just walk with us here. Slowest moving front office learned of the Maxx Crosby news about 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and then within minutes, met as a staff, thought it through, and finalized the decision to not pursue another trade for Maxx Crosby. Either they think we're stupid or they are stupid. Neither of those two things are true. So what does that leave us to believe? That they're floating information for the sole purpose of maximizing leverage within their new negotiation. That seems simple to me. How can we confirm that? Okay, here we go. Different source now, right? Outside the building, non-biased completely. Jordan Schultz, what does he say? Okay. Well, I'm about to prove to you that the speculation, that the smokescreen speculation is potentially correct, all right? Or that it has a lot of, let's just say it's got a lot of validity. And it's these words right here from Jordan Schultz that help us sort of contextualize that. Okay, few things here on Maxx Crosby. Per sources, this is Jordan Schultz at Schultz_report. The Cowboys don't plan on engaging again. Just stay with me here, okay? They did the trade for Rashawn Gary and are ready to welcome him to Dallas. That was also Jane's report. They moved on with Rashawn Gary. That's also true, by the way. They did move on with Rashawn Gary. They did, and Jane's quote, they moved on with Rashawn Gary. That is true. Nobody can deny that. That's factually correct. Jane's report is accurate. They moved on with Rashawn Gary at this time, right? So put the two quotes and the two words together. Read between the lines. Do the tea leaves, the breadcrumbs, the sports below the surface analysis, right? Just sort of come to your own conclusion. Think about this logically from a negotiation leverage perspective. The Raiders are scrambling right now. They've got until 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to be cap compliant. When they just went out, they were the heaviest spending team in free agency. You got to spend a certain amount. You can't just not spend it all. The league doesn't let you do that. So there's a minimum threshold that must be met, but then there's also the maximum, which is, of course, the salary cap. The salary cap can obviously be manipulated just about any way that you want it to. All right, but let's continue. Jordan Schultz's report. A few things on Maxx Crosby. Cowboys don't plan on engaging again. They did the trade for Rashawn Gary and are ready to welcome him to Dallas. Sure they are. Of course that's true. Absolutely. Great player. I tried to contextualize that earlier, and we'll get to that tweet in just a moment. My thoughts on Rashawn Gary for those of you that are still interested, I guess. Trey Hendrickson to Baltimore is going to be one to watch tomorrow. Okay, we know the reports about Trey Hendrickson, by the way. Cowboys in on those sweepstakes, but then Trey Hendrickson may be seeking too much. Medical history in his own right is in question. Age is also a factor. He's 2 years older than Maxx Crosby. You get the point. All right, the next point from Jordan Schultz. The Raiders are not happy at all. Sure, they're not. They thought they were having picks 1, 14, and then a first rounder next year in exchange for Maxx Crosby. You're not happy. Because now they have to stomach going through the decision of trading their franchise player all over again, right? The face of their franchise, if you will. The Raiders not happy at all. They're going through how to proceed with this as we speak. Once again, nothing is final tomorrow. Not even the linebackers, the linebacker additions of Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean. We're going to focus specifically on those because we know that the Cowboys were in on those sweepstakes. We also know that Quay Walker was actually the Cowboys' preference over Nakobe Dean. That was Nick Harris's report. Okay, the Raiders have agreed to terms with players the Raiders have agreed to terms with. There we go. So in this case, say Kwity Paye, Jalen Naylor, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker, Tyler Linderbaum, have not been told anything. Those deals can be signed tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so 3 o'clock Central Time tomorrow, those deals are official. They can be signed. People close to Maxx Crosby, though, this is his closing statement, are adamant he's ahead of schedule, and doubting him will only make him stronger. Okay? My question is, what's the point of all this? Like, why does Jordan Schultz's report give us more leverage or more confirmation, more clarification on this situation? They're saying he's ahead of schedule and doubting him will only make him stronger. Players the Raiders have agreed to terms with have not been told anything. Those deals can be signed tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Raiders are not happy at all, and they are going through how to proceed with this as we speak. No decisions have been made. They have already confirmed to us. It's not just a report. It's not just a leak. It's not just an opinion. It's validated. They traded Maxx Crosby because he is not in their immediate plans for their future. Quay Walker, I see you, Suave, with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Good evening to you as well. It is a great evening here in the beautiful Caribbean. Think about what Mike said one more time. Okay. Consider what Jordan Schultz just said, and then here's the punchline here from Adam Schefter. Do we think that the Cowboys came to a conclusion that quickly after this information drops? Oh, no, we're done. We've moved on. We're done. We were in it at 12 overall, a future second, and maybe a potential player on top of that. But now all of a sudden, let's just say the 20th overall pick would beat every other option that the Raiders now have. They were in with pick 12 overall, a second-round draft pick and a player, but now they're all of a sudden just out 2 days later with pick 20. And that's like worst case scenario for the Cowboys. Maybe it's next year's second-round draft pick is all they get. I'm just going to say pick 20 because I have the feeling that the Cowboys were already confident enough to begin with about his health, about his track record, about his pace to be back for the preconceived notion of, the June, July deadline that he was on track to be back for. So that means he's going to be ready for training camp and all as well. Something happened here that we can't exactly explain, but assuming we grant the Cowboys the right to go and, of course, obtain and seek out Dr. Dan Cooper's medical approval, then who are we to say that they are out if the asking price at this point, the best offer on the table that the Raiders have, is the Cowboys pick 20 overall? Why would they all of a sudden be out? Okay. Adam Schefter here says Raiders have already received calls from several teams inquiring about the availability of Maxx Crosby in a trade, per source. That's vague. Okay. The Raiders are jockeying for leverage back. They're saying, oh, well, Cowboys, you say that you're telling Jane and Dianna that you're out. Well, guess what? We're telling Adam that we got people that are in. Okay. Who do we believe then? Because Adam's report here is a little bit different from Dianna and Jane's report, isn't it? If it were true that the Raiders already received calls from several teams, we know that the Cowboys were in the mix to begin with, and the team that could present the best offer, the offer that the Raiders were initially after in picks 12 and 20 to parlay with pick 1 overall, their reset button in Fernando Mendoza that grants them, in theory, best case scenario, 15 years of cost control talent, first-round draft capital. That was their best case scenario from the Cowboys. For now, the Raiders are prepared to get Maxx Crosby healthy and have him play for Las Vegas. Interesting, Adam. So we're supposed to believe they were out on him two days ago. 2 days ago, Maxx Crosby wasn't in their plans for the future, but now they're prepared to get him healthy and ready to play for this season for Las Vegas? Are we serious? Once again, to Mike Fisher's point, either they're stupid, the Cowboys, that is, or they think that we are. I know the latter's not true. And with Brian Schottenheimer, Christian Parker clearly signed off on Maxx Crosby to begin with. Forget the Joneses, because we know that Brian Schottenheimer is calling a lot of the shots. We know that Christian Parker has a massive voice. It's not Jerry and Steven that we're insinuating are stupid. Mike is saying either the Raiders and the Cowboys think that we're stupid, or the Raiders and the Cowboys themselves are stupid. And another 5 from Arcomp. And Arcomp, I realize I owe you an apology, brother. I don't know if you noticed. I saw right after I ended the live show about 4 or 5 days ago that you had posted a super chat and that I completely missed it because I was in my tunnel vision flow state. And we also had a troll in the chat that needed to be booted. That's my fault, brother. I owned that in the moment. I said that I'm sorry. I apologized, and I was waiting for you to come back and show up so that I could hopefully make it up to you and let you know that I apologize to you. You can see the sincerity in my face, in my eyes, and my voice when I tell you this right now. Thank you for that, and then also thank you for this new one here, Arcomp 99. I'll post that right there so everybody can see. That was a mistake that I intend. I'll do everything in my power not to let that happen again. I'm imperfect. Sometimes I miss things. It happens. I need a social media manager. I need more mods to help me manage these types of situations. That way that doesn't happen again. We'll get there one of these days. But your support, man, just so you know, it's not unnoticed, even though your super chat that day in that moment was. All right, I apologize sincerely for that. So thank you for coming back and for trusting me and for granting me another opportunity to earn your respect. And I appreciate you for being here, man. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Let me see what the chat's talking about. I'm going to take a deep breath for just a second. It's all mind games. Lando, Raiders have no leverage. Bingo. That's it right there. Okay, so that was my initial response to Jane on Twitter, as well as Dianna Russini. If it's my intention to maximize my leverage right now, that's what I'd be telling Jane Slater too. That's what I'd be telling Dianna Russini too. We all agree, everybody here understands, like, take it back a year or 2 or 5 or 10. What do we know about the Joneses? What do we know about the Cowboys, the most valuable sports franchise in the entire world? Any sport, doesn't matter. How is that the case? How do you get to that status? How is that so? You manipulate, or let's just say, you understand marketing. You understand media. You understand what makes headlines. You understand what creates clicks and views. They're not stupid. You might not prioritize football all the time. This year you clearly are. Just like for the sake of the argument. Jerry Jones ain't stupid. $15.5 billion valuation for the Cowboys, or whatever it is right now, ain't stupid. You don't get to the level that, like, the Cowboys are at, a global brand, the number one sports brand and logo in the entire world. That doesn't happen if you're stupid. It could happen if you're not a football person first. It could happen if winning isn't your priority, sure. But it don't happen if you're stupid. You're smart. You understand psychology, you understand people, and you know how to manipulate both of the aforementioned. I don't know if I'm right here. I don't know if Maxx Crosby is going to end up a Dallas Cowboy. All I know is if the objective is to try and maintain and maximize leverage, there's clearly a massive hiccup and a red flag here. Who knows what his price tag is now? The Cowboys are not the first ones to sprint to the phone and broadcast their desperation to the Raiders and the rest of the world. It's also in the Cowboys' best interest to conceal their offering, their price tag to begin with from the National Football League. Right? That's how this happened in the first place. That's the reason why we're in this very situation. Word got out. That's why there's conflicting reports about Oso Odighizuwa being involved in the package. Cowboys didn't exactly want that information known because that lets other teams know exactly what they have to beat. That gives them an exact starting point, a minimum threshold of what to supersede with regard to the Cowboys' price or their offering price, their initial pitch to the Raiders. You lose leverage if the world knows what you're about to do and what you're about to offer. Nobody knows that right now. Nobody except the Cowboys. But the thing is, even if they did, even if Jane knows it now, even Dianna Russini knows it now, they didn't know with 100% certainty, to Fish's point, 5 to 10 minutes after that 7 p.m. news drop from Mike Garafolo and Albert Breer made waves. They didn't know 5 to 10 minutes after the fact that the Cowboys were all of a sudden, like, they got Christian Parker in the room on the phone. They got Brian Schottenheimer in the room on the phone. Jerry, Steven, Adam Pacifica, the numbers guy. Everybody's just, boom, like, stop what they're doing, hop on the helicopter, meet in Frisco, or on the Zoom, join the Zoom link. And we come to the conclusion, even if there's differing opinions, even if we think Jerry, Adam, and Steven, they all say no, whereas all the football people say yes, whatever it takes. Dr. Dan Cooper is still undetermined, undecided. There's 3 potential different opinions right here. Even if that's the case, you're coming to a consensus conclusion that Dianna Russini knows, who we've already had to, once again, Google the Lando Show and Dianna Russini and tell me what you find. You Twitter search Dianna Russini, the Lando Show, and tell me what you find. If we trusted national media every single time, platforms like this one wouldn't exist. Voch Lombardi wouldn't exist. Skywalker Steel wouldn't exist. Foots the King wouldn't exist. AOC wouldn't exist. The Lando Show wouldn't exist if their word was final. Shout out to them. Seriously, I have no hard feelings towards them. But I'll present my case, especially if I feel like they may have, to some degree, there's a different agenda. But even if that's not the case, even if there isn't a different agenda, and we all want the same thing here, which we don't. Not when you're a national media versus micro media like we are, new media, if you will. Bill Barnwell doesn't. He works for ESPN. He's tasked with knowing a little bit about a lot, meaning he covers every team. He kind of just chips in and offers insight towards, the surface level stuff about everybody. Brilliant guy, smart dude. If he worked and was specifically a Cowboys insider or any other 31 teams in the National Football League, if Bill Barnwell only worked for one team, oh my God, his word would be gospel. It would be a wrap. But it's not. It's not the case. He covers 32. How you doing? Sorry, I'm out passion. There's stuff that we got to cover right now. I don't know another safe place to go and do that. So if I'm being animated, I apologize. I'll be out of here shortly. Okay, thank you. They can't possibly, if your task is to know a little bit about a lot, then you can't possibly know a lot about all the minute details. That's the point. Right? And if the Cowboys are telling their specific plan to NFL media, and Jane Slater is not specific to the Dallas Cowboys anymore. Remember that, right? Dianna Russini is obviously not specific anything to the Dallas Cowboys. They are NFL. If the Cowboys broadcasted everything, they forecasted their every step of the way for the foreseeable future or just indefinitely. Then what are we doing? Then we got much bigger problems than Maxx Crosby. We got much bigger problems than Kobe Dean. We got much bigger problems than Quay Walker. Okay, so if this is true, if we believe this, okay, if we're saying right now, like all of us, we're sitting here saying, okay, Dianna, her word is gospel. Jane, her word is gospel. then okay, Dianna and Jane, go ahead and tell us who the Cowboys are going to select at 12 and 20 overall if they don't trade for Maxx Crosby services anyway. Who's the draft pick? They don't know that either, because guess what? The Cowboys haven't told them that information either. Also, it's also true. Let's be fair. None of that is up to them ultimately, right? Because there's 11 selections that have to happen first. But the point stands, right? Hopefully you understand that it is in the Cowboys' best interest to not be fully transparent all the time, right? We get that. Does everybody understand? Am I crazy? Trying to see what the chat's talking about, man. Audio, video still good. Of course, the Cowboys want to keep Clark. I mean, we unpacked that here 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago. They actually did. So that's fair. Great point. We need to discuss that for just a second. They created $8.8 million of space by restructuring Clark. We predicted and forecasted an extension. That obviously wasn't the case. An extension is much different from a restructure. But the point was, the reason we came to that conclusion to begin with is that Kenny Clark, contrary to popular belief at the time 2.5 months ago, was in the Cowboys' plans for the foreseeable future. For one, because he is a good player. Two, because he was playing a little bit out of position last year for the first half of the season before Quentin Williams was brought on. But three, because Jerry Jones, let's be honest, right? The Cowboys weren't going to swallow their pride to that degree and give up on the player that they traded Micah Parsons for less than 12 months after the fact. Okay, so there's some ego in play there. But the ego is actually not the biggest thing for me. Like, you just go watch Kenny Clark's tape, go turn it on, go listen to what Quentin Williams says, by the way, about that player in particular. And it's very easy. Go listen to Christian Parker rave about this man. Go listen to the Joneses too. They're obviously reflecting and reiterating the things that the coaching staff is saying. They pulled the trigger on that trade in the first place for a good reason. It's a Pro Bowl caliber player, that all pro caliber difference maker, Superman in the middle, like Quentin Williams, validated for us by saying, yeah, that's the guy that I study. That's the dude that I look up to. Okay, so he's in the picture. Of course, they don't want to move him. So all teams interested in Crosby are posturing, trying to get the best deal. The Raiders are trying to keep Crosby's value high. Exactly. There you go. If I said it confusingly at any point, then all you got to do is read my guy Queso 5239's point right here. That's it. It don't have to be more complicated than that. It doesn't have to be anybody's wrong or anybody's right. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict that for you. But what I do know for a fact is that the Cowboys, 2 days after being firmly in the mix for a player like this, aren't telling you 5 minutes after a report of a medical red flag for certain that they're out. Maybe they are. Maybe it's not in their best interest. Maybe Dan Cooper says, yeah, you know what? Upon further review, upon my second opinion, upon reevaluation, upon testing Maxx Crosby in person, we don't necessarily think that it's in the best interest of the Cowboys to make any move with this regard. We question the future of his knee or his health in general. We aren't sure. Okay. The point of this is that nobody knows for certain right now. And the only people that do are trying to maximize their own leverage. Just like the Raiders clearly are posturing. All of a sudden, right, once again, Adam Schefter reporting, the Raiders are prepared to get him healthy and have him play for the Raiders this season. But 2 days ago, they were willing to ship him out. He wasn't in their plans 2 days ago, but now all of a sudden he is. What more evidence do we need, guys? Got some of the best doctors in the league. I don't know that that's subjective, but that is what a lot of people say, so I'll take their word for it. That's actually the very reason why that's why Overshone is a Cowboy, because of Dr. Dan Cooper. That's why a couple others are as well, and names are going to slip my mind right now. Lots going on, but Schefter said that Dr. Cooper was Schefter said Dr. Cooper was involved during the review the Ravens had. Okay, and then ISO also says Sean just said Dr. Cooper was there doing Ravens review. So okay, all right, great information, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Okay, so walk with me here then. When was this review? Are we talking like in the last day, like since the announcement of the trade? Like Dr. Cooper was on site in Baltimore when they performed this medical procedure? Is that what you're saying? Swain, at this point, what do you value a max rate? It depends on the medical eval. But if you're the Cowboys, you really don't have much other choice. Like you can probably guarantee right now, pick 20 gets it done, pending medical eval or whatever. Like if we assume he's all right, one of your 2 first-round draft picks this year is most likely going to be it. Nobody can beat 12 this year. But if the health questions are legitimately in the air at this point, then 20 should be plenty to get it done. Maybe next year's 2 is enough. We don't know at this point. All we know is that the Cowboys' leverage just went way up. The Raiders' price tag for Maxx Crosby just went way down. That's all we can say with 100% good faith and certainty at this point. That's it. Jane and Dianna can report in 100% good faith and certainty that what the information that they have been given is true. I'm not saying that Jane's report, that Diana's report was dishonest. Just to be clear, for the 3rd time, I'm not saying that anything that they're saying is in bad faith or dishonest, not truthful. I'm simply saying that what the Cowboys are telling them, whoever their source is, it's in their best interest to make sure that they maximize their leverage. To not appear desperate by sprinting to the phone and saying, oh my God, okay, whatever you want, Raiders, whatever you want, it's yours, you got it. The ball's in their court now. They got to figure out who they're keeping that they have allegedly signed before tomorrow's 3 o'clock Eastern deadline, or 3 o'clock Central Standard Time deadline. The new league year officially begins. You must be cap compliant. There's money that's involved here now. Maxx Crosby, not only do they retain Maxx Crosby's services, they're technically responsible for the $30 million that he's scheduled to account for this year. They got to figure some things out. They just signed the highest. Did anybody make more money than Tyler Linderbaum in outside free agency? I don't know I don't know if they did, but I want to say that that's the highest, the most money spent so far in outside free agency was the Raiders to Tyler Linderbaum. But then they also added Kwity Paye. Let's go look. Raiders free agent acquisitions. And then so Raiders free agent tracker. Well, okay, so here's the thing. I don't know. I'm not seeing a good source that's got like everything detailed for me right there, and in perfect chronological order or whatever. But here's what we know: good amount of money to Kwity Paye. Amongst the most money spent on any outside free agent asset to Tyler Linderbaum, the center. A good chunk of change to Quay Walker. And we'll just pull up their contracts individually. We'll do it that way because I want to be accurate. I don't want to be throwing, leaving open-ended statements out there for you guys. Y'all deserve better, so I got you. Okay, Quay Walker signed a $40.5 million contract for 3 years. Nakobe Dean signed a $36 million contract over the next 3 years. Tyler Linderbaum. Somebody keep track of all this and tell me how much money. Just total contract value. We know guarantees are the most important. We know void years come into play, right? We know there's outs after a certain amount of years with guaranteed money at a certain percentage underneath the total contract value. But just like somebody calculate. So we've got $40 million for Quay, 36 for Nakobe. I believe it's 81 for Tyler Linderbaum. Okay, 81 for 3 years for Tyler Linderbaum. Kwity Paye. $48 million for 3 years for Kwity Paye. They also signed Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor, $35 million for 3 years. So we got 35, 36, 40, 81, and then what did we say Kwitty's was? 32. No, 48. So yeah. So we got 35, 36, 48, 35, and $81 million for the Raiders in outside free agency right now. They re-signed Stokes. What was Stokes' contract? So 35, 35, 36, 48, 81. Surely I'm doing all this for nothing, and somebody's already got a source that has this perfectly laid out to where they can tell it to me. But if that's the case, go ahead and put it in the chat, and then we'll refer to it after we look up Stokes' contract for this year. That was an internal free agent, but still a free agent nonetheless. Contract Raiders. Re-signed Eric Stokes. 3 years, $30 million. So we got 30, 35, 35, 36, 48, 81. What? How much money did the Raiders spend in the last 2 days? If I look stressed, I don't mean to. It's just, hey, listen, my mentions go crazy. All right, I say something, I got people yelling at me from 12 different directions. Yes, I'm sleep deprived. I got 3 toddlers in a foreign environment right now, out of country. Okay. Yeah, I haven't slept much. Yeah, I've been stressed a little bit, trying to make sure everybody's taken care of, everybody's happy. I got 3 kids that are all sleeping in the same room for the first time in their lives right now, that are all ages 4 and under. And then we got information now where I got massive sources asking for my opinion. I got family members asking for my opinion. I got my amazing community tagging me, messaging me, DMing me. Yeah, there's a lot of information to sift through. I'm not stressed. I'm just passionate about it, man. This is how we roll. This is it. Ain't nothing new around here. But I appreciate you being here nonetheless, man. Thank you. If I seem stressed, I apologize. I'm excited. If anything, I'm excited because that means, all that means is that the community, the excitement, the passion. Remember, one of the things that I said, like, okay, Maxx Crosby signs to the Ravens. Cowboys lose Maxx Crosby. Good. Why is that good? Because it tells us that they were actually in on the sweepstakes. And one of the reasons that coincide with that it's also good, is because we, for the first time as a fan base, as a sports media, as a new media, as a national media, everybody was sort of co-aligned on this, like, this movement, right? The movement, the difference, the differing thing, the aggression, just all the different things we kind of unpacked here the last 11 months. Just a sign of a changing of the tide, if nothing else. Aggression, or all in, or bust the budget be damned. Like, things are happening differently around here. Okay. And certain things fall through, right? Nakobe Dean chose the Raiders over the Cowboys initially because he wanted to go join his college buddies again. I don't blame him. Matter of fact, I took my first Division I opportunity because 2 of my best friends that we were in each other's weddings for, we were JUCO teammates, and those guys were going to that school. I had other options to go elsewhere, but I chose that school because that's where my boys were going. I wanted to stay with my boys. That's human nature. That's natural. It is what it is. I don't know what else to say about that. But if David Moore says the Cowboys are interested, but then 5 minutes after, I forgot about David Moore's point. Yes. Yeah. There you go, 88. Thank you. Okay, Swain with the math for me. Thank you, Swain. LV has spent $281 to $283 million in total. Not official, nothing confirmed until tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. But call it just a flat number, $280 million. Has anybody spent more than them? Yeah, so Matthew Jones, thank you, Matthew, for I mean, you understand, man. And I know obviously AJ didn't mean anything negative by it. I'm just being me. I'm me. I'm trying to be real with y'all. You know, I got nothing to hide. I love this stuff. I love trying to apply the sports psychology, the sports below the surface truth for y'all. That's what this platform is here for. We unpack the ulterior motives behind some of the things that were being reported. Not everything that's spoken is factual or gospel or accurate. Arcomp with another 5. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much with the $5 super chat. This is a win-win situation for Dallas. Maxx or a linebacker we wanted. There you go. That's what we haven't talked about yet. Great question. Somebody asked me earlier. Once again, I told you I was getting bombarded with tweets that may be contributing to some of the chaos that you may perceive as stress. It's not. I'm excited. I'm fired up. I'm passionate. That's all it is. But a great question nonetheless. Let me pull it up. I'm gonna be accurate with it. Yeah, Fish double down. So Cowboys beat Chris. Shout out to Chris Kreishman from Cowboys Beat. He says the Cowboys. He sent me this tweet, the quote tweet from Fisher again. Cowboys and all other teams swear that they're not interested, and the Raiders leak that teams are calling. Remember, there was I didn't mention this earlier. It crossed my mind, and then I forgot because I went off on a tangent. But there's a very select few amount of teams that are in on the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes to begin with. Bears, Eagles, Cowboys, Ravens, maybe a dark horse here somewhere. Okay, but if the Raiders are swearing, multiple other teams are already calling, but the Cowboys are 5 minutes after the fact, 100% out, not going to consider it, done for. We moved on with Rashawn Gary, that's it. When even they 2 days ago were all the way in. Come on, man. Who's dumb here? Who's stupid? It's not us. I promise you that right now. It's not us. We're not. We might be fooled. We might be led down the wrong path. We might predict things that don't come to fruition. Just like I told you that Micah Parsons wasn't going anywhere about this time last year. I was wrong about that. But the process was sound. The tea leaves, the due diligence, and the breadcrumbs, the objectivity was sound. Okay? Just to be clear, AJ, thank you, man. I know you meant no harm by that. So trust me, no harm, no foul whatsoever, brother. I appreciate you. You're one of my constants in here, and I can't thank you enough for it. Seriously. Yeah, Sam Howell getting signed to give Milton QB competition. That's all that is. Simple QB2 battle. Absolutely. I mean, listen, it's about raising the floor, and that was the whole point that I made earlier about Rashawn Gary. I'll read that to you guys if you didn't see it yet already. But my take on that was pretty simple. And I think this is fair. You guys can let me know. Y'all be honest with me. I know y'all tell me the truth. You'll call me out if I'm wrong on something. But when you reframe the trade for Rashawn Gary and consider that they acquired him for a future 4th after almost giving up a 1st and a future 2nd round draft pick for Maxx Crosby, it feels a little bit better, doesn't it? All right, so think about it. I'll explain it. Just like I said on Twitter, you're upset with the Cowboys free agent results so far, for good reason, I admit. Okay, and then in parentheses, it's still early though. But I was told, you guys told me, the consensus was, and this is just me polling the nation on multiple different platforms, including this very one right here as we sit and as we speak. I was told an overwhelming majority that 2 first-round draft picks for Maxx Crosby was too much, right? So think about the Rashawn Gary addition in context of the fact that it's Rashawn plus Bain at 12 or Rashawn plus Mesidor at 20. Those are the most commonly placed difference-making edge rushers that are allocated to the Cowboys via insert your favorite ex mock drafter here. Lance Zierlein, Daniel Jeremiah, Dane Brugler, whoever. Okay, those are the most common selections that are difference-making, or the perception of being difference-making edge rushers. Okay, so think about Rashawn Gary in the context of Gary plus Bain at 12 or Gary plus Mesidor at 20. Okay, Gary as standalone value. First of all, I think that he's better than he's getting credit for. But the reason why I think that is because I think that there's disdain for him because of the Crosby and Hendrickson talk and expectation prior to, right? I think that's 100% fair to suggest. You might be jaded a little bit. You might feel bamboozled a little bit, right? When the news of this drops and then it maintains itself. Trey Hendrickson's still on the open market. Cowboys aren't moving. They're reportedly, moving on or not as interested in that as they maybe once were, right? So you start to get frustrated because you have this expectation, Crosby or Hendrickson or bust. And then it's really hard to see, to have clarity with anybody else, right? So that aforementioned context paired with the fact that Rashawn Gary now gets to play with the best defensive tackle of his career so far. And yes, I'm saying that fully understanding who he has played with in his past, including Kenny Clark, including Devontae Wyatt. Those two guys are not Quinnen Williams, okay? So as productive as he's been, and I understand the guaranteed money relative to his performance, especially down the stretch of last season, that's cause for concern, or at least that's cause for pause for a lot of you, rightfully so. But think about it from this new context. Christian Parker clearly thinks that Rashawn Gary is a difference maker. I guarantee you Kenny Clark's opinion was sought after before this decision was made. I guarantee you, they probably brought Quinnen Williams in for his opinion as well. But Brian Schottenheimer signed off on this, amongst many others. I bet you the Cowboys' new pass rush coach, Brandon B.T. Jordan, the ghostwriter, I bet you his opinion was polled on this. Okay? So it's not just, the Cowboys, they were passive on Maxx Crosby, and so they settle for the this year's version of Kyrie Elam. No, come on now. We're better than that. We're better than that as a fan base. We're better than that as a community here, okay? So that aforementioned context, paired with the fact that Gary now gets to play with Quinnen Williams, there's zero way to say in good faith that the Cowboys aren't better today than they were 2 days ago. This is before this Maxx Crosby news was public, right? So what time was this posted today? 3:16 p.m., March 10th, 2026. All right. I haven't even mentioned the newly acquired safety, Jalen Thompson, yet, or the other first-round draft pick that the Cowboys still have in their back pocket. And I also haven't mentioned that Trey Hendrickson is still in the discussion. Once again, the consensus was, and that's the nation, and I know I was in the minority suggesting 12 and 20, go get it done. That's obviously changed now. But at the time, knowing what I knew about Maxx Crosby, I was in, because we don't know what picks 12 and 20 are going to ultimately amount to. And even if we could guarantee that they weren't going to bust, we don't know how long it's going to take for those picks to manifest into impact players. Okay? I haven't even mentioned newly acquired safety Jalen Thompson yet, or the other first-round draft pick that they still have in their back pocket. And I also haven't mentioned that Trey Hendrickson is still in the discussion. Once again, the consensus was an emphatic no amongst the nation on 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby, right? We still agree with that, right? That was the regardless of what we think now, at the time, prior to the ultimate 2 first-round picks from the Ravens being settled upon, at the time, that was considered way too much. An emphatic no by overwhelming majority. All right? So don't go pretending like those 2 first-round draft picks don't exist now just because we're talking about and discussing Rashawn Gary as opposed to Maxx Crosby. Remember, those picks mattered, right? So much so that you weren't willing to part ways with both to get Maxx. So then you can't tell me that Rashawn Gary settles your opinion relative to that of Maxx Crosby, because it's Rashawn Gary plus, say, Bain, for instance, at 12. Rashawn Gary plus Akeem Mesidor at 20, for instance. Right? So you can't tell me that you're mad yet, when you just told me 2 days ago that 2 first-round draft picks in exchange for Maxx was too much. You feel me? But once again, even if you could, we still aren't going to know for a little while. We got to see what those picks amount to. if the Cowboys even use both of them. They may not. They may only have one first-round draft pick this year after this news today. We'll see what happens. Lots still to be determined. But once again, back to our Comp 99's point with his $5 super chat coinciding. This is a win-win situation for Dallas Maxx or the linebacker we wanted. Whether, let's say, Adam Schefter's right and the Raiders aren't, like, it makes no sense for him to be right in that instance. Like, Maxx is in our plans to be a Raider for this year when 2 days ago he wasn't. But let's just say that that's the case. That most likely means that at least one or two of the players that they agreed to contract negotiations with in principle, not named, say, Maxx Crosby, okay, or with the understanding that Maxx was going to be a Raven, who can they keep now as a result of them having to be responsible yet again for the $30 million approximately that Maxx Crosby is going to be due in 2026. And of course, that money can be moved a little bit. They can make it work. They could probably make more than what we think work. But the point is, why do it? Why, if he's got a degenerative knee issue and they're trying to hide something, either way, his peak value is right now. If they wait to trade him until next year, if the injury concerns are validated, then he's worth nothing. So it still makes sense for them to trade him right now, regardless, because he was already not in their plans. But then now we're going to have way more information a year from today about his knee and either the degenerative issues or the fact that he's good to go. We're going to know a lot more this time next year. I think Rashawn Gary can be a 10-sack guy now, playing next to his buddy and two other good defensive tackles in Osa and Williams. I don't know about 10 sacks. That's a lot. What was his peak production season, actually? Let me just go in and look. Stats don't paint the full picture. I see a really talented player when I go and watch him play. But, I would say that he's been close a couple different times. He's had, by the time he was fully acclimated as a professional, 9.5 sacks in his third season in 2021, 6 in 22, 9 in 23, 7.5 in 24, and 7.5 last year. Most of that production coming in the first half of the season. If we assume that Quinnen Williams is the most impactful interior player that he's ever had the pleasure of playing alongside, then it might make some sense to project in a best-case scenario situation that he's got 10 sacks in him. The Cowboys certainly aren't expecting that. Otherwise, and most other teams aren't either. Otherwise, they would have spent a lot more for his services. We got to remember, the Raiders or the Packers let him go for a 4th-round draft pick. A lot of people believe that they were going to cut him anyway. But that's not what matters, okay? If the Cowboys think that they have a player that they can maximize, or that they think that the rest of the league is not valuing as much, they're not going to leave it up to chance and let him get to a bidding war in free agency after they cut him. They're not going to let it get to that point. They're going to go and get it. Like, we know the numbers that he's got right now. This is what we're comfortable playing and working with. We can make this money work. We can flip a few switches if we want to. We can extend them if we like. We'll see. But we don't have to negotiate and overpay potentially. Okay, like, here's what we know: a 4th-round draft pick in the future, a 2027 day 3 draft pick does a team like the Cowboys that we've tried to emphatically convey for so long now. A team like the Cowboys, who is very clearly in a win now window, go for it mode, because of the contracts that they have all co-aligned that go through 2028. It's the quarterback window. A 2027 day 3 draft pick in exchange for Rashawn Gary. Whether you feel like that's an overpay or not, whether you feel like they were actually going to cut him 2 days later or not, does not matter. The reality is the Cowboys get a guy that they like. They save themselves the negotiation. And they're not worried about a pick. Next year, on day 3, that's most likely to bust. But even if he doesn't, they have no idea when he's going to manifest, that rookie, when that 2027 fourth-round draft pick is going to become an impact player for them, if at all. They don't know. But even if they could guarantee he wasn't a bust, when is he going to make a difference? Year 2 at best? Playing special teams in year 1, even if he even makes the roster. Year 2, maybe he's getting starting snaps. Year 3, maybe he makes an impact. Guys, think about it. 3 years from 2027, that's past the win-it window. The win-it window is over. What are we mad about regarding Rashawn Gary specifically and the compensation for his services? What are we mad at? There's rumors that Crosby has a grade 3 hamstring injury, but I doubt that's true. So everything must be considered with a grain of salt at this point. It's all public posturing at this moment now. That's what this whole thing is about. Now, you can absolutely restructure to keep. Great question, man. I'm surprised that I haven't even mentioned that yet. But for the Cowboys, so it makes other decisions a little bit more difficult. And it makes sticking and moving to bolster depth in free agency before the draft a near impossibility. But bringing on a guy like Maxx Crosby, assuming that he passes the medical check, pairing him with Rashawn Gary, those are 2 proven players, right? And they make the surrounding decisions, whether that be like minimal acquisitions and free agencies, like bolstering depth, or a bunch of rookies that you're trying to just throw darts at and hope can make an impact in year 1. It makes those decisions much less it's more insurance towards those decisions, like, because just difference making players, perennial all pros, right? Like Maxx Crosby, are going to nullify the rest of your decisions, whether they're good or bad. It makes the general managing duties easier because you have difference makers. You take the proven product if you can help it. Do I see us trading Osa though? Listen, I don't know if I see him trading them. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to predict it. But if it's a future day 2 in Osa that saves some salary, future day 2 is irrelevant. We already know that Osa was potentially in the package to begin with. So if they were okay with 12, next year's 2, and Osa 2 days ago, why wouldn't they be okay with next year's 2 and Osa tomorrow? That's all I'm going to say. I love Osa. I don't want to see him go. I want to see all 3 $20 million defensive tackles playing alongside each other. But maybe now maybe Osa is what it takes. Maybe it's just Osa. Maybe they keep all their draft picks and trade just Osa. I don't know. If that's how they have to make this work, they'll make it work. But the money's not a problem. The money's not a factor for a team that wants to go for it. It's a factor. Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean could be back on the open market as a result of them having to be responsible for Maxx Crosby's 30+ million or whatever, because that's not a team that's ready to go in for it now. They don't have the luxury, or it doesn't make sense for them to push money into the future when the future, like 3 years down the line, is when they might consider themselves contenders again. The Cowboys think that they are right now. So there's a difference, okay? A very important distinction to maintain, to understand within this discussion. It's 2 teams clearly operating in 2 very different windows, 2 polar opposite windows. Raiders, it's let's acquire as much as we possibly can, cost-controlled assets, even though they're spending a lot in free agency, yes, but there's still a minimum threshold that must be met. They're still trying to give Fernando Mendoza, their first overall investment, the best chance to succeed and not bust, right? Maximize the 5 years of cost control that they have with him, and then pair that with other assets. That's a team that's planning for 3 years down the line. The Cowboys are planning for now and next year and then potentially the year after that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So then, yes, great point, 88. So as depicted here, nothing's changed, right? We were slightly off on the Kenny Clark decision. We thought that would be an extension and not necessarily a restructure. The reality is the difference between the two terminologies doesn't really change the amount of money that they saved. We thought that they could maybe save about $21 million with an extension because there were no guarantees. The restructure changes the maximum amount that they could have saved, probably. But point being, it's about double-digit millions that they've just created. I think it's 8.8 was the number that we've officially settled at. We haven't really had time to study those figures right now, but we'll trust the sources that have $8.8 million. You could save another 15 to 20 or so with Quinnen Williams' extension, or just say contract manipulation. Okay, the George Pickens thing, if they extend him, keep in mind that's a number that can come way down from that 27.3 fully guaranteed non-exclusive franchise tag figure. An extension saves them money on George Pickens in 2026 and 2027. Point blank period. No questions, no discussions, no hesitation in saying that. They signed 2 people and a mid-ass Gary. Okay, well, regardless of what you think about the 2 people before you mention Gary, one of those 2 people was twice as much money as they've spent in outside free agency at any position in like 10 years. Google it. When was the last time the Cowboys spent $6 million APY on an outside free agent asset? Brandon Carr. Google, I feel like there's something missing here from this context, but Google's AI overview also because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just Brandon Carr, but Google also includes Greg Hardy, his 1 year, $11.3 million deal back in 2015. But I want to say something tells me that like almost none of that was guaranteed, right? I don't know if that's maybe the discrepancy that's kind of being considered here. You guys can apply whatever your context or thought process into this question as you want to. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and go through Greg Hardy's contract and the guarantees. That's a waste of time. But you understand the point, hopefully. Okay, I'm trying to just make sure and see. I need to get up out of here. It's been an hour already. Love the Gary move, but he needs to be the second best acquisition outside of the draft. That's probably fair. I agree with that. I mean, my synopsis of Rashawn Gary to begin with was that I think the perception is jaded just a little bit relative to expectation entering free agency. But then I also think that that's true, considering expectation and what we thought, everything that we unpacked here, work to be done still, no question. So Schefter is saying that one of the doctors to do the physical was a Cowboys doctor. Okay, this is where I want to end. This is what I want to finish with. So y'all are gonna have to be real specific, and I'm just gonna stare down the chat right now until we log off. Okay, Schefter is saying that one of the doctors to do the physical was a Cowboys doctor. Are y'all telling me? Is he suggesting, or are you saying? Can anybody confirm that Dr. Dan Cooper was on site in Baltimore when his physical was conducted? Is that what this means? Are y'all suggesting that? Help me out. And that's fair. That's true. Arcom, I agree. I thought I unpacked that a little bit earlier as well. I think I tried to. If I didn't already, I apologize. But that's what I was trying to also say. Talk to me about Dan Cooper. So Dan Cooper was on site in Baltimore for this physical. Okay. So then how does that make sense? Think about that. Who else was on site? Who else was conducting this physical? Does Dan Cooper say that Maxx Crosby has a degenerative knee? Okay, Dr. Cooper did the surgery, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the evaluation, the physical, the agreement and principle to trade to acquire Maxx Crosby, pending medical review. That's different than who did the surgery. I'm asking if Dan Cooper was on, why was Dan the Cowboys doctor on site for the physical? I mean, I guess if that's standard operating procedure for the doctor who did the surgery, and it's like him there to go over with the Ravens staff, like everything that he did, everything that he found, all the conclusions that he came to. Okay. But once again, it's not Dan Cooper saying, like, hey, he's not failing Maxx. He did the surgery. He's not necessarily responsible for the rehabilitation. Why would Dan Cooper's opinion on where he is today, regardless of who did the surgery, why would Dan Cooper be the number one, the singular? I mean, I guess it's possible if like the Ravens hadn't conducted any sort of conversation with him before trading for Maxx Crosby in the first place. And I guess they could, go off his opinion if they found out that Dan did more reconstruction than maybe they previously knew about. But like he's a Cowboys resource more than anybody else. Why is he the deciding factor? You see how there's like a rift there, right? That doesn't add up to me. Exactly. Yes, our comp. Thank you. If he was on site for the physical, then we weren't ever going to be in the sweepstakes, right? Yeah, we knew that they were in. So like that's what I'm asking here. That's what I'm saying. The Cowboys already had this information. If he did the surgery, they knew what they knew before then, and nothing changed between now and 2 days ago in that regard. Okay, Sean, let me just. What's up, Angie? I see you in here. Schefter reported, Christian Beamer says, Schefter reported that Dr. Cooper was involved in the Maxx Crosby medical review. Look at Sean Sharif's tweet about it. Okay, I'll pull it up right now. Let's pull it up. Okay, so now the next question I have, somebody clip this, somebody answer this, whatever you got to do. Is it standard operating procedure for the surgeon who performs the procedure on the player to show up to the new acquiring team's facility to be on site to answer questions from the Ravens doctors and PTs to like verbally and in person discuss everything that he found in surgery, everything that he did to repair it, and his opinion on the matter as far as the timeline to get back to a full bill of health, 100% cleared for football activities, like all those sorts of things. Is that normal? Because I don't know. What's fake news, Okan? Be more specific, please. The physical happened after the deal. Fake news. Yesterday's price is today's price. I don't know if I'm with that. I don't think that's true. There's no way that's true. It's clearly not, because the Ravens just rescinded their offer, so it's not. It ain't the same price, because the price is gone. It's done for. Man, I'm catching strays out here. I see you the greatest. Thank you for that comment, man. I appreciate the laugh. Fake. Okay, I see you. I see what you're saying, Okan. Fake news that Cooper was on site. I don't believe that. We got. Let me tweet this right now. What should I say, guys? Was Dr. Cooper performed Maxx Crosby's surgery. Correct. He's the Dallas Cowboys MD. Correct. Was he on site for the Maxx Crosby Ravens physical? And if so, what did he tell the Ravens then that the Cowboys didn't already know? Y'all smelling what I'm stepping in here? All right, tweet posted. Go interact and engage with that as you please, just to help kind of spread the word, because we're genuinely trying to seek out information here. We're trying to unpack and unlock and objectively and creatively convey the sports below the surface truth. So let's find information that we don't understand. All this is so messy. Tomorrow going to be interesting. Exactly. Lando, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow with Maxx? So I've just spent the last hour and 15 minutes hopefully conveying that in a creative and objective and truthful manner. If you want, I would just advise the playback button, just for the out of respect and in the best interest of everybody else that's been in here the whole time, so we don't go back and sort of retread, because we're kind of unpacking this thing in real time here as we go. So I appreciate you being here, though. Thank you for the question. I truly don't know what's going to happen, but we've done the best that we can to detail everything that we know, what we knew before, what we know now, and what we expect to come. Hopefully that the playback option will give you those answers. And if not, you can let me know in the comments, and I'll do the best that I can to address whatever you need clarification on in the coming days and hours. Juan JP4ZB, $5 super chat, man. Thank you. Even if Dr. Cooper did the physical, would Dr. Cooper be allowed to tell the Cowboys about his physical? HIPAA. You speculate in HIPAA. You know what? That's a good point. Hold on. Let me quote tweet my post from a second ago. So, questions I don't know. This is non-football stuff. This is things that happen behind the scenes that are messy, confusing, not always reported. Listen, I'm not going to pretend to be the expert here. Kenneth Easley, thanks, Lando, and thank you for being a member. By the way, the membership option is available for those of you that are interested. No content whatsoever is behind a paywall at this moment. It's simply at this point, it's kind of like an evaluation, just to kind of see the moves that I want to make next. But for those of you who are interested and have the means of supporting this platform, the soon to be 8,000, we're trying to get to 10K before April's NFL draft, and then the 95,000 across all socials. Those of you that want to take your support to the next level, the membership option is available to you. And there are a select few perks that become available if those membership obligations are met, and I'll have details for you. If you do become a member, for anybody new, there's about 8 of you right now. Kenneth Easley is one of them. Send me a direct message, because YouTube doesn't give me YouTube doesn't grant me access to subscriber and new member emails, so I can't just have a preset email to send you guys once y'all become members to tell you what the next steps are to make sure that you're in our community. So you'll get access. That's one of the perks that we're referring to here. You'll be granted access to a members only private chat, where we just take everything that we discuss on this platform. It's behind the scenes. It's 24/7, and it's round the clock. It'll be a group me or a Discord where all of you guys are in the same. It's just the Lando Show Sports Below the Surface little private community where We're helping each other. We're on the clock, answer questions. We're speculating. We're holding each other accountable for the sports below the surface truth. All right. And thank you to those of you that have already joined, and for those of you that will even consider it moving forward. It's much appreciated, and it's how we continue to level up around here. Thank you guys so much. Seriously. I'll never take this opportunity for granted to be able to speak on behalf of the 131 of you that are in here right now, the 95,000 across all platforms that, just like you guys, have given me the ability to take my passion and turn it into a reality. But it's not just that. The reason why I'm so thankful for it, why I'll never take it for granted, and why I sincerely mean that, and I hope that you can see that in my eyes when I'm looking at you and saying it, is because this chosen profession, this passion that I have, my baseball playing profession, of course, is granting me the ability to also be with my children full time. That's why I take this so seriously. Because it's because of them as well. They get to still be first because of you. And I shouldn't have to say anything more to convey to you how much that means to me. Seriously, I'm about to freaking drop some tears over here. I ain't about to do that. It's been a good day. Baltimore think they're slick. They got cold feet. See, listen, we don't know that that's not true either, Angie, and I agree with you. But the one thing in this whole scenario, for anybody that's just joined that missed the first few minutes of this, and I need to sign off. It's about that time. The one thing that we know for a fact is that regardless of how anybody feels about any national media reporter, regardless of Jane Slater and Dianna Russini reporting what they believe to be true from their source, it makes no sense for the Cowboys to tell anybody what their plans are for Maxx Crosby at this current time. And that is actually not a pun not intended, because those are the words that we that granted us the right to speculate about Dianna Russini's report, and if it was a smokescreen yet again. Listen, we're no stranger towards, and we're not shy about calling out smoke screens if we see that may potentially be the case. Okay, we can't rule that out at all. And there you go. So there's a perfect example. The greatest just became a member level ladder. There's two. There are two. There's two different levels. We got labbers and we got lifers. But shout out to you, the greatest. I wish I had my soundboard to give you the drop that you deserve, man. But just shoot me a message, because like I said, I don't have your email, so I can't tell you the next steps. But I'll send you a link. Shoot me a DM on Twitter if you can. I'll send you a link to join the members only private chat, and you'll be in there. And there's a couple other perks that you probably just read about whenever I mention that to you. But thank you, man. I'm really excited about what's to come, and you're going to help me do it. So thank you so much. We got another one from Arcomp. Officially became a labber. Thank you, Arcomp. Seriously, and to you know, I said earlier that literally that kept me up for a little while after that live stream a few days ago, when I realized that I missed your super chat. I can't stand stuff like that. It's there's no excuse for it, but it does happen, and just know that you're much appreciated, and then I'll do the best that I can to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I see it gifted another membership from our comp. Let's go, man. See what I mean about you guys? Y'all show up for me. You've shown up for me in such a big way this year, and oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this becomes. People are paying attention to what we're doing here, and it's because of you guys, right? I am you. That's why I'm here, because I was you. I'm still you. I recognize the rift between mainstream media and passionate fans, diehard Cowboys fans that deserve to know the truth. Mainstream media can't possibly know a lot about everything. They know a little bit about a lot, but they can't possibly know a lot about a little. That's where people like us come into play. communities like this one, you guys, that's where we come into play. Okay? Tired ass Cowboys fan. Receive that membership gift. Let's go, man. See, look at that. Helping each other out. Pay it forward, baby. I freaking love it. Thank you guys so much, both of you. Our comp and tired Cowboys fan. Woo, I'm tired too. I've said a lot in the last hour and a half, but I hope that it's been time well spent for you guys. Seriously. And I don't want to get off right now. I just know that I'll be paying the price if I don't. I got to get me some sleep. Jay Frosty says I just subbed. Welcome to the family, Jay Frosty. Thank you. Christian Beamer says I joined late. What does the Howell signing mean for Milton? It's just competition. It's leveling up, raising the floor. This team leaving nothing to question. If they think there's an opportunity to get better, they're going to stop at nothing to do that. Ricky is shadow banned. Got to search up his account to see the tweets. Oh man, that situation is another wild one to unpack, all in and of itself. That's crazy. To be allegedly hunted down because you're such an accurate predictor of what's to come, such a like spot on specific insider, but nobody knows who your identity is, to the point to where it makes teams nervous. It makes the league nervous, or they want to hunt you down and shut you down. It's crazy. Where did I play ball? So I played at started off my college ball experience at my journey began in southeast Kansas, little town called Fort Scott Community College. From there, I transferred to Abilene Christian University. And then I realized some things were not as they were made out to be. The coach that actually recruited me there was gone before I ever even showed up on campus. And there's some other things that just rubbed me wrong, put a real bad taste in my mouth. I ended up my last 2 seasons of college ball playing for the Wichita State Shockers in Wichita, Kansas. And then it was from there that I had the opportunity. I was blessed by the good Lord above to play professional baseball and get a shot with the Milwaukee Brewers organization. And from there, I had 1 season of minor league experience before I got released. I was a redshirt senior. They gave me, well, I jokingly say, a bucket of baseballs and a bag of Doritos and a plane ticket to show up. But I did it. I took the opportunity, obviously, and it was like $1,000 was my signing bonus, and after taxes, I might have seen $750 of that, and then I got paid $1,200 a month from that point, and then I bounced around for a few years after that rookie season there, but had a tremendous amount of success with the Brewers specifically. But the reality is, I didn't throw a 98 to 100 as a right-handed pitcher, 6'4". 220 give or take. There's thousands of me. I was a stock righty, I do think I had a devastating changeup that most right-handed pitchers didn't possess, and even if they did, they weren't confident throwing it in every single count to lefties or righties the way that I did. That was my out pitch, believe it or not. It's weird as a right-handed pitcher. Those of you who know baseball, you understand how uncommon that is. But I thought that set me apart. But the truth is, the business side of sports is ugly, as we know now, right? Maxx Crosby. Best example that we could possibly come up with. How fitting. The business side of sports comes into play. I wasn't a 98 to 100 arm, and I didn't have $100,000+ invested in me. Therefore, I was expendable. The end. You played at Marshall. There you go. I see you, Ocon. You know the grind then, man. We're cut from the same cloth. Discipline is freedom, baby. I didn't realize that until after I got to college. Really, I'll be honest, I cut corners for the longest time because I just wasn't afforded. I didn't know enough. I didn't know what a weight room was till I got to college. I didn't know what discipline was till I was almost out of college. And then by that point, it was your 26-year-old stock right-handed pitcher that didn't throw 100. All right, well, your days are numbered, buddy. So that's just the reality. Man, that was what I lived by. And so believe it or not, y'all don't care about this, but he's asking. It's late. We're an hour 30 minutes in. I'm about to sign off. The parting thoughts here are always fun. You guys get a little bit of background information on where I come from, what makes me, what makes me tick. But I actually had a sub-1 ERA through about 16 appearances. It was like a 0.6 or so ERA. through 16 or 17 appearances, just to show you how ugly the business out of sports is with the Brewers organization. And it wasn't until Cody Bellinger was on a rehab assignment. He had an ankle injury. This is 2018. Ankle injury. The big league Dodgers, he was still with the Dodgers at this point. Big league Dodgers were in town playing the big league D-backs. Okay. And as we know, rookie ball, like when you first get drafted or signed as an undrafted free agent and for the MLB, you go to either Florida or Arizona for short season A-ball, rookie ball, right? And it's just for a couple months for all the postgraduate college players or anybody that was drafted out of high school. They go to short season A-ball, right? And that for the Brewers is, of course, in Arizona. So all the rookie teams, like 15 rookie teams are in Arizona. The other half are in Florida. The Brewers were there in Arizona, in Glendale, okay? The big league Dodgers were playing the big league D-backs that week. So Cody Bellinger was on site rehabbing in Arizona because that's where the Dodgers spring training facility is. So they're one of the 15 teams that have their home essentially in Arizona away from LA, right? So he was rehabbing an ankle injury, and one of his rehab stints was to come in and get 3 or 4 at-bats against the rookie Brewers. So that was me. That was my squad. The rookie, all the guys that were just signed, just drafted or signed. So Cody gets a few at bats against the rookie Brewers. I pitched in that game, and I tried to pitch him backwards. I spun a little slider, which wasn't my best pitch. It wasn't really my out pitch. I kind of just show it, and he didn't have a scouting report on me. He didn't give a damn who I was. I was a stock righty. He was just like, I'm up here, man. He's spitting sunflower seeds. He probably just showed up to the facility. Like, it's just a walk in the park for that dude, right? It's a big leaguer, an all-star, a home run derby contestant, like different than me, right? I'm just a kid trying to figure it out. And spun him a backdoor slider. He spits it. It was a competitive pitch, but it was clearly a ball. Good take, like nothing. He didn't even hardly flinch at it. Next pitch, I grooved him a fastball, just a little C shot, cock shot, if you don't know what that means. And needless to say, he didn't miss it. And he hit it about 420 on just a little backspun frozen rope to right center, 3-run shot. And it like tripled my ERA in one swing because I faced a big leaguer. That's what happens when you face big leaguers. So anyway, my ERA ballooned to like a 2. It was still a really good number for me, but it tripled to like a 2-something. And yeah, I didn't throw 100, like I said. Didn't have $100,000 in my bank, like I said. So I was expendable. Yeah, JUCO will turn a boy into a. That was the case for me. I was a boy even past JUCO, but it definitely got me on the right track to where I'm at today. There's no question about it. So anyway, I appreciate you, Christian. Thank you, man. No. I mean, if you've done anything close, if you've competed at a high level, like at the collegiate level, and did so for a long enough period of time and were successful at it, then yeah, I mean, you understand that it's cutthroat and it requires a lot of discipline and hard work, and it's not unlike any other industry in life. That's just life in general, right? Discipline equals freedom, and that's what baseball taught me, and that's what I've taken. That's what I've taken with me to every other avenue of life, including fatherhood. So, hey man, that's it. I'm gonna get up out of here. I know you guys, y'all are like me. Y'all a bunch of nerds for it. I would be up here if I didn't have obligatory responsibilities to tend to, as in 3 small children in a foreign environment. Tomorrow, I'd be up here with y'all till 2 a.m. as we were when the news of the Cowboys being firmly invested into the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes began the first time, about just short of a week ago today, I guess. Still rocking with you, Landon. This proves I freaking hate the Cowboys. Media is so wrong all the time. I come to the actual sources, the fans that take pride in what they do. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I see tired Cowboys fan thanking our comp for the gift. That's cool. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know you could do that. That's really cool that you can gift memberships. That's good to know. But Anyway, that's enough baseball talk. That's enough rambling on Maxx Crosby. Hopefully, you guys learned something today. If you did, leave a thumbs up for me. Consider hitting that subscribe button. And remember that prayer changes things and the war's already won. I'm going to continue enjoying this vacation, but y'all know, man, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to bring whatever needs to be said. You guys know that I'll stop at nothing to do that, to creatively convey that objective and sports below the surface truth for you, because you guys deserve it. All right? I'll talk to you guys soon. Till then, you never know. You never know what can happen. Let's see. Stay tuned.